So my name is Lindell, and I am the chairman of the Auburn Junior City Council. I'm here today with Mayor of Auburn, Nancy Backus.
Hi, Cole. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. So, Cole, as chair of the Junior City Council, that gives you a whole lot of responsibility, right?
Yes, a lot of different responsibilities and all different types of things that I need to make sure I am staying focused on.
Mm-hmm. So how did you decide that you wanted to be the chair? Because it was voted on by your fellow council members. So what made you decide to put your name in and wanting to take on that additional responsibility?
Well, I think as a person, I can stay organized, and I have experience in making sure that I can run different projects and make sure that I'm doing a good job with everything that deals with running meetings and everything outside of meetings and all that different type of stuff.
So what do you see as the main responsibility in your role as chair of the Auburn Junior Council?
Oh, I think one of the most important parts about the duty is to make sure that I can facilitate the meeting, but then also step back and listen to other people's ideas and make sure that everything is going at a nice flowing pace. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think is the best quality that you've ever seen in a leader?
Best quality is, I have to go with humbleness, because of the fact that a humble leader can step back and take themselves out of the picture and just facilitate the meeting. But then I've seen humble leaders also come in and add great input to meetings and different projects and ideas.
Maybe another term for that is a servant leader.
Yes,
have you heard that term before?
Yeah.
I think a servant leader is, in my opinion as well, one of the best styles of leadership, because you're there not for yourself, but for what you can do for your community or those that you're working with. And being humble is certainly a great quality. What do you see as some of the main goals for the Junior City Council? What would you like to see accomplished maybe in your first term?
Well, I think some of the main key focuses that we'd like to really stress would be just improving the different amenities around Auburn and making sure that this city is an awesome place where kids, but not only kids, young adults, and everybody can just have an awesome time and really enjoy the different features that Auburn has to offer. Mm-hmm.
What got you interested in joining the Junior City Council, Cole?
Well, I've always loved government and how everything works, and I really enjoy doing that type of stuff. So when I saw the opportunity come across, I thought that'd be a lot of fun, because I enjoy different politics and stuff like that. And so I was definitely excited to see some of that during this term and if there's terms to come.
That's great. And remind me, what grade are you in school?
I'm a junior.
At?
Auburn Riverside.
Auburn Riverside. Okay, well, I'm an Auburn Trojan, so I'm not going to hold Auburn Riverside against you.
All right.
Because it's all part of Auburn, right?
Yes.
Yes. So what are your goals after you graduate?
I'd like to do something and go to like a 4-year college and get some sort of degree in business management and administration. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about being mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I thought about doing different government positions and that are elected and stuff, and I think that interests me a lot, and I feel like I'll figure that out later in life once I start getting older. I don't really know exactly what I want to do right now. It's a tough one.
You don't have to know right now.
Yes, thank goodness.
But I would highly recommend, if you have an interest in government now, that you stay focused on that and always give it a little bit of your attention. Because we're always looking for good leaders. We're always looking for those servant leaders that are willing to take that extra step and put yourself out there in the public. It's not always an easy job. There are days when you're not going to get anything that anybody likes that you've done, and there are those days where everybody's very happy. But those days typically are not at either end of that spectrum. It's just trying to find the right thing to do for the right reason at the right time. Yes. And it sounds like you're on track for that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the great leadership that you're going to provide on the Junior City Council.
Thank you. So now here comes a tough question. how did you decide to become mayor?
Oh, you're going to throw it in my direction now. So I have always, similar to you, I've always had an interest in local government. I don't like politicians. I think there is kind of a negative connotation to being a politician nowadays. So I'm not a fan of being a politician, but I want to have a positive effect on our community and have always been interested in how to make those positive changes. I had the opportunity a little over 10 years ago. One of my early mentors, Jeannie Barber, was the deputy mayor on the city council here, and she had decided it was time to retire. And she called me and asked me if I would be interested in applying to fill the vacancy that she was going to be creating when she retired. And I jumped at the opportunity, went through the interview process. I believe there were 3 of us that interviewed, and we interviewed in front of the other 6 council members and the mayor. And then the council went behind closed doors, made their decision, came out, and I felt very honored to have been selected to fill that position of my mentor, and have been on the council for 10 years. And over the course of that time, have taken on more responsibilities and just saw that that was the natural progression. I've been deputy mayor for 2 years and decided then that being the mayor of the city that I love so much was really important to me and something that I really wanted to do because I thought I could make a positive difference.
All right. And what's that one thing that makes you love this city so much? What about it?
Oh, that's a really good question. There are so many good things about Auburn. I mean, it's home, right? Of course it's home, but I think one of the biggest things about this city is the heart of the city. And I don't mean for that to sound corny, because I'm sure it could, but it's just the giving nature of our community. We are by far not the richest city in King County. But if you consider things like the Auburn Food Bank Breakfast or Auburn Youth Resources annual fundraiser, or any of the other fundraisers that take place in our city, you will always find a large turnout. You will always find, and it's not just the same people all the time, but you will find a community of caring, giving people. And in that way, we're very, very rich. And that's just what I'm so impressed. And my husband and I wanted to raise our daughter here because we want her to understand that importance of giving back and the privilege, really, of giving back. And that's seen every day.
So, mayor being an extremely busy job, what are some of the things that you're involved in and duties that you have as being mayor?
So I have an office that I haven't seen very much since since January 1, but that's the goodness of it. I'm out in the community quite a bit. I'm trying to get around to all of the different teams within the city that work for the city and get to know them, let them get to know me a little bit more, let them know that I'm behind them, and just getting their input, because they're the ones on the front line. They're the ones that really know what goes on and what needs to happen. I am not an engineer. I'm a finance person, but I'm not an engineer, so I couldn't tell you how a road needs to be designed. But we've hired some great people. We need to allow them to do the job that we've hired them to do. So it's lead and get out of the way.
Yes. So what are some of the things that you're most proud of that you did on city council, and what sort of things you want to see happen in the future?
So what am I proudest of? Well, we do a great deal of funding every year through Community Development Block Grants, CDBG, and that is federal funding, and we receive roughly $500,000 annually. It just increased to close to that amount from HUD. And the city also matches that amount out of our general fund. So we provide that funding to human services and nonprofits in our community that serve the people of our community. I'm really proud that even through the most difficult of economic times, we were able to continue that. And also, we've passed some difficult ordinances, one on dangerous dogs that happened about 4 or 5 years ago. It wasn't easy. We had a lot of pushback from people that didn't like the fact that we were identifying certain types of dogs as dangerous, but it was the right thing to do for our community. We're always looking for funding for roads. There's never enough, but we're always looking in that direction to see what we can do to improve the condition of our roads, but mainly improving the quality of life for the people that live in the city and our parks. That's one of the ways that we can do that, is the great park system that we have.
Yeah. What would you say was one of the hardest transitions going from the city council, being the deputy mayor, to going to becoming the mayor?
You know, I didn't think it would be difficult at all, because I've had 10 years in the city council role, but it was a little bit more difficult than I realized it would be. Partially because there is a separation of powers. I don't know if you've learned about that in school or not, but you have the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. The city council is the legislative branch, and the mayor is the executive. And the roles and responsibilities of those two branches are very different. And so moving from that legislative side and having a really good working relationship with the other city council members is something that I prided myself on, and being able to bring us to consensus and collaborate. And moving into that mayor role, I'm still very proud of the relationship that we have, but it's just a little bit different. You know, still work really well together, but there is a difference there. And I'm here all day long, where as a council member, you're typically not. So there are things that go on administratively, and I'm the administrator for the city as well. So it's not just the governing side, but it's also the administrative side. So it's a different role, but I'm loving it.
Okay. So what do you do when you're not trying to run the city and make sure lights stay on? What are you doing in your spare time?
Well, spare time is a very valuable thing, but I have a wonderful family, my husband Kimon and our daughter Alexis, who we call Lucky. It's really important to me that I find a balance. I'm not sure I'm there yet, because there's a lot to learn, especially as I just take office, but it's important to me that I find a good balance between doing what I need to do for the city, sharing some of those responsibilities with the city council, and not being at every event instead of having a council member there to represent the city, and being able to go to Lucky's soccer games, or just spending a nice evening at home with a bowl of popcorn watching a movie with my husband. And so it's really important to me to find that balance. Okay.
What would you say would be one of your biggest goals and one of the things you want to get accomplished in your first 100 days in office?
Ooh, my first 100 days is to make it through those 100 days. But it's working on, I have a goal of one Auburn. And that's one of the biggest goals that I have, is celebrating the similarities and the differences of everyone in Auburn. It's obvious that we have some differences. And it might not be quite as obvious that we have some similarities, but that's the goal of one Auburn, is to identify those and celebrate them. The other thing is to disrupt the status quo. That's something that I think we can accomplish in the first 100 days, is not allow things to be done just because we've always done them this way. It's also equally important not to change things just for the sake of change. But just challenging the status quo and saying, why do we do it this way? Is it the right way? Is there a better way? And doing something, allowing the team that's in place to have the responsibility, the accountability, and then the authority to do the job that we're asking them to do. Put that responsibility back where it belongs, with the people that we've hired in the roles that we've hired them in.
Yeah, and being a Riverside Raven, in our ASB, we try to work on something. I noticed you were saying Auburn being one, is that at all of our rivalry games with Auburn High is staying Auburn United.
Yes.
And that's something we really try to focus on and make sure that, we're all the same people. We all are living in the same city. Let's just all be one. And I feel like that touches along that.
And you can teach a great message to a lot of people in town because of that Auburn United. And I've seen that because Lucky played soccer
Yeah.
for Auburn High School. And when we traveled to Auburn Riverside, I did see that. And I was really, really impressed by the fact that while you have a rivalry,
Yeah.
and it's okay to have that rivalry, there's still a lot of those similarities. And you need to always keep those in mind.
Yes. Yeah.
So I hope you've enjoyed our chat today. I really appreciate Cole and his willingness to be involved in the Auburn Junior City Council. I'm looking forward to great things from that council, and especially from you, Cole, in that leadership role. If I can be of any help, my door's always open.
All right. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks. Bye.